And today I'm going to dive a little bit into multi-channel attribution using Markov Chains. First of all, I'm going to provide you with a kind of different point of view as Maria presented. However, it was really exciting. So let's look what I am going to share with you today. First of all, I would like to define what the problem is. Then I'm going to continue with an attribution modeling using heuristic models. Then I'll switch heuristic models for Markov chains. And then I'm going to show you a little example using data from Google demo account. Okay, so let's define the problem. Approximately 96% of website visitors aren't ready to buy during their first visit. And many people, and of course managers too, sometimes think that typical customer journey looks like this, that during the first visit, the purchase happens. However, the reality looks more like this, with increased number of interactions and with many touch points along this journey. And this is why we should use the attribution. I'm a big fan of Barcelona Football Club. Is somebody fan too? Okay, nobody involved in football? Okay, so you probably know that Lionel Messi is sometimes or many times the player who scores the goal. However, it's not only about one player. There are another 10 players involved in the game. And it's the same like with your marketing channels. There are channels that are responsible for purchases or conversions. However, more marketing channels are involved to this game. And you should be able to evaluate them, put it to the right place during the purchasing process or customer journey, and pick the most valuable ones. And that's why we have attribution models. Simply put, attribution models represent the set of rules that assigns credit or value to particular channels or touch points. I think that we know heuristic models that are available in Google Analytics. So just let's review them. It's last interaction. It's Lionel Messi. All the credit goes to him. Then we have first interaction model. So the player who tackles the ball gets the most of the credit. Then is a linear model where each player involved in the action assigns the same value for the conversion or for the goal. And then we have some other models. The typical example of customized models might be, for example, found in hockey, where the player who scores the goal gets points for the goal, obviously, and there are two more players who receive the points for the assist. Okay, so what's wrong with this model? First of all, we might saw that there are a lot of those models, and the real question is, which one should we pick? And many times it involves serious managerial decision to pick the right one. Another thing is that the data in Google Analytics are often aggregated, and you cannot mine them deeper. And of course, heuristic models are not data-driven. And that's why I'm going to talk a little bit about Markov chains. So let's have a little bit of theory at the beginning. So Markov chain is a part of the game theory. That's why I used football. And it's not a heuristic model. It's a probabilistic model. So let's start with some terms that are used in this model. First of all is a set of states. Set of states represent each possible marketing channel that can be involved in a customer journey. Then we have a trajectory that represent a particular customer journey, the set of steps, the sequence of steps taken by the customers. Then we have transition probability, is the probability from moving from one channel to another channel. Then we have transition metrics. It's like the summarized transition probabilities. I will show you an example a little bit later. And then we have transition diagram. It's a visual representation of Markov chain. And then we have the most important aspect, and it's removal effect. Let me explain the logic of removal effect. Imagine that you have a full model with each possible marketing touchpoints, and you receive, for example, 1,000 conversions. Then I take one of those marketing channels, for example, direct traffic, and I receive only 200 conversions. And the difference between the full model and model with removed channel represents the importance of this channel. So the question here is, in the football terminology, how many goals would Barcelona score if Messi wouldn't play? You got the logic? Okay, so let's look at some short example. As I mentioned in the beginning, I used data from Google Analytics demo account. I analyzed more than 2,000 conversions with a total value of 335,000 American dollars. And then I analyzed data with statistical software R and with particular packages, channel attribution and Markov chain. First of all, I had to export the data. For many of you, you know this report. You can find it in Google Analytics in Conversions tab. It's top conversion path. I exported this data, and what you can see on the screen that there are visualized trajectories that I mentioned when I mentioned theory of Markov chains. So these are the real customer journeys. When I exported data, I found out that there are several set of states represented by possible touch points of direct traffic, organic search, referral traffic, etc., etc. And I added 2 more states. It's a start, representing the start of the customer journey, and conversion, representing, obviously, conversion or purchase. Then I created this horribly looking transition matrix. I'm sorry, it looks really terrible. So let me explain what does it mean. On X and Y axis, you can see all possible marketing channels that can be attained. For example, on the top left, you can see the probability that customer will close the conversions from social media. So it's 0.15. This horribly looking transition matrix can be transformed into something more horrible that looks like this. I know you cannot see it well, so just let me explain. Here is a start, here is a conversion, here is the rest of the marketing channels, and on each arrow or each node, you can find the probability that your customer will go towards this channel. So this way you can visualize the most probable ways your customers will take during their journey. Maybe something like this will help you. I try to visualize it. So you can see that each possible state is connected one to each other, and then we set the probabilities on going to these channels. Actually, I'm going to talk about the limitations, and yes, this is one of the limitations. I didn't include null state in this model. Okay, so now let's look at the comparison of heuristic models with Markov chain. As you can see, the distribution of conversions assigned to particular marketing channels is different. It a little bit undertakes or underestimates direct traffic and distributed more conversions to, for example, referral traffic or organic search. The same can be seen in comparison with value generated or revenue generated. So we can see that, for example, referral traffic based on the Markov chain generated more revenue than compared to heuristic models. And now I'm going to limitations. So first limitation I would like to mention is a Markov order. Right now in my model I used first Markov order. Let me explain it to you. The probability of the customer from going to current step to another step is influenced only by the step I'm currently in. So for example, if I'm using social media, the probability of going to, for example, to website via email marketing is affected only by this, that I'm right now in social media. However, there are indeed customers that remember their previous step or 2 last steps obviously. So in this case, we need to use different Markov order that takes into account some previous states and steps and calculate the probabilities based on this. Another limitation is null presence of null state. So we didn't include customer journeys without conversions. So in case we are able to include customer journeys that didn't end up with conversion, the model would be more precise. Another thing is segmentation. In this data, the average length of customer journey took 3 days. However, I saw some data that, for example, 40% of customers bought within 3 days, and then another 40% bought in 12 or more days. So it's obvious that the results will differ. So please, let's check your data before analysis and segment properly. And another thing is repeating customers, where I assume that if I'm going to purchase something one more time, I either have a bookmark or I remember URL address, or I subscribe to email newsletter. So my purchase would be much more influenced. So segment the first timers from repeating customers. And let's look at key takeaways I would like you to take from this presentation. So first of all, you should be able to assign the value to all of your marketing channels and pick up the most profitable ones. Heuristic attribution models are not data-driven, so that's why I suggest to use Markov model that determines the value of the channel based on the removal effect I mentioned previously. However, take the limitations of the model into account.